Drones. They're everywhere, in shops, online, newspaper, TV shows. And going hand in hand with these drones are smaller, better cameras, like the GoPro range. But with this influx of drones, issues of privacy have arisen, and law changes have been made. My name is Jayden Thatcher, and you're watching Drones. I have had an interest in drones since, well, as long as I've known they've existed. And after hearing about these law changes in the CAA, or Civil Aviation Authority, I set out to find how these laws affected professionals and recreational users, with myself in mind. But before we continue, let's have a look at the history of drones. RC technology is nothing new. In fact, it really hasn't changed much since 1982. It was developed in the early 1950s by the military, but soon, without cameras, they really had nothing to use it with. So, it kinda grew from there. Soon the know-how and the parts were freely available, so you could build one yourself. However, it wasn't really until the 1990s that these products began to become more mainstream, with the mass introduction of China-made products. So why have drones become such a big issue in the media? Because of the development in cameras. In my life, I have seen the change from film to digital. And I've seen cameras get smaller and smaller. My first portable camera was the GoPro Hero 2. Since then, the 3, 3 Plus, and 4, which is what you're seeing me from right now, have been released. And with GoPro's new release, the Hero 4 Session, well, that just makes mounting cameras to anything, let alone quadcopters, far easier. Very quickly, companies caught on. A company named Flycam started producing these drones to carry almost any camera, and video views on YouTube spiked. Every filmmaker wanted one, myself included. But that's not the main point. The point is, another company, DJI, made what's called the DJI Phantom. This was one of the first truly affordable quadcopters that could take a GoPro Hero 2. Since then, 100 knockoffs have been released. So there are many factors in the mix as to why these drones have skyrocketed both in the media and on the market. But the main reason is quadcopters or drones are becoming affordable, being purpose-built to carry an affordable camera, and they're just so easy to use. So now that you know pretty much the whole history behind drones, let's have a look at these law changes and exactly what they entail for the end user. Now, unfortunately, I don't have time to read them out for you, but they're here on the screen, so pause the video and check them out. As I said earlier, I wanted to see how these new laws affect recreational and professional users of these drones or quadcopters, and what they think about the new rules. So, first I went to find my neighbour Charles, who has been flying drones for the past few months. I'll let him tell the rest of the story.
I use a drone for just recreational flying, learning how to fly, so I get ready to fly the 450 helicopters. I originally got the drone for because I'm a deer stalker and I was going to use it for hunting. Because I'm getting a bit old now and I can't walk around the mountains as much. Yeah, I agree with them. So it's the idiots that spoil it for everybody else.
His son, Shane, also flies quadcopters, but not just quadcopters. He loves flying helicopters and really any RC aircraft. So I asked him the same questions. Here's his response.
Basically, as a hobby, just to fly around, to get eye and hand coordination. Just to have fun, not to monitor people.
Pause. Did you hear that? Did you hear him say not to monitor people? I had not prompted this in any way, shape or form. This just shows how sensitive people have become to the privacy issue.
Yeah, I agree with it. I think a 4 kilometre radius around an airport is fine. And I don't think you really need to fly any higher than 120 feet. It doesn't really affect me so much, as I like keeping the aircraft closer to the ground rather than high in the air.
So you can see that these CAA laws don't really affect the recreational user very much, because they fly it over their own property anyway, and they're just doing it to have a good time. But rules aren't made for no reason, it must affect someone. So I seeked out some professionals who, though I could not get them on video, replied to me via email. Though I got a few replies, Tim's was one of the most notable. He flies drones for many different purposes, from real estate videos to surveying bridges for the council. But one thing he said in his email, when I asked him what he thought of the rules, he said that they're still not very well thought out. He also said it's made his work unnecessarily more difficult by having to ask property owners if it's okay to fly over their land. He thinks it's silly that real aircraft that are far, far louder can fly wherever they want. I also asked him if he thinks there should be a licensing system to negate some of these rules. He says he wishes there was. To sum up the 4 reply emails I got at once, they basically said that not being able to fly over someone else's property without seeking permission first is really not helping their business, especially because so many people are concerned about their privacy and denying them access, which means they can't do the job that their client has hired them to do. A few months ago, a letter was actually put in my letterbox and everyone else's letterbox on the street saying that there was this drone flying around at night and that it could be spying on people. That drone belonged to Charles, and ironically he doesn't even have a camera on his drone, but I'll let him explain the rest.
Yeah, well, there's some small-minded people around, got nothing better to do. Obviously they've never seen a drone before, or they have something to hide, but anyway, they obviously knew it was me because they never put one in my letterbox, so that's about it.
So is your privacy really at risk when your neighbours are flying drones around? Well, we've known Charles long enough to know that it's not. A, because he doesn't even use a camera, and B, because he's a nice guy. But I admit there are some creeps out there. So we devised a little test. Alright, so we're here outside my house and we're going to do a quick test to see, do these drones / cameras really breach people's privacy? To do this, we're going to give the drone its best case scenario. We're going to use this pole. On top of that device, we're going to hold it like this, and we're going to move forward in increments of about 10 meters and see exactly how close you'd have to be to that window to be able to spy on someone. So let's do it. We had the camera shooting in 4K, which is the highest resolution you can achieve in such a small camera. I'd like to note we haven't done anything to this footage. This is exactly as the camera saw it. In a moment though, we'll show you what we could do with the image to try get a view of a person sitting on the bed inside that window. Here's a photo of inside the room to give you a better idea of what you've seen. However, a spy wouldn't necessarily know what the inside of the window looks like and probably couldn't make out you even getting changed in there. And none of this takes into account the fact that a drone is loud. Really loud. There is no way you could get this close to a window with a drone without said person noticing. And there is no way you could film this at night. So you've seen the footage, you've heard the arguments, and now it's time for you to come to your own conclusion. So, what do you think? Do drones breach privacy? Do rules need to get stricter or lessened? Should there be licensing systems? Well, it's up to you. I'm Jayden Thatcher, and I'd like to thank you for watching Drones.